Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the DBZALLSTAR. I'm DBZALLSTAR, or Steve if you prefer. And I'm back with another Floating Island Productions or Sonic-themed video. 'Tis Tuesday. We're a little bit later, most likely, in putting this up because I needed to do some editing. But I was planning on today, the video going up a little bit later. Anyway, so we are today focusing on the main collection of the story that is within the Lara-Su Chronicles, the Beginnings hardcover edition, purchased directly from Ken Pender's Floating Island Productions website, retailing for $35.99 and containing the complete Mobius 25 Years Later story. Today, I wanted to talk about that Mobius 25 Years Later story and expand upon it just slightly. I know I've talked about it a little bit in past videos, but I wanted to discuss what it's about, to explain why it was such a big deal that eventually that story wound up getting canceled. We'll say the word canceled by Archie Comics when Ken Penders, the longtime writer of Sonic the Hedgehog and the originator of Mobius 25 Years Later as a story and a concept, why it ended and why it should not have ended, I guess, is the main crux of my discussion here. So, Mobius 25 Years Later started in Sonic the Hedgehog issue 131. You can see the cover here, first page of this backup story, as it was not the main story within the Sonic the Hedgehog comic at the time. Deals with the timeline moving forward, of course, 25 years into the future. So Knuckles, his then love interest, Lara-Su in the future, is his wife. They have, or Julie-Su rather, sorry, Julie-Su. Julie-Su is his wife, and they have a daughter, Lara-Su, who is next in line to be the guardian of the floating island. We also have Sonic the Hedgehog, our titular hero, and Princess Sally Acorn, now Queen Sally Acorn, wed and having two Rugrats all of their own. The story begins with a history lesson that details a little bit of how this world came to be and focuses on the kind of person that Lara-Su happens to be. She has a lot of traits in common with both parents. She has some fashion choices in line with her mother, Julie-Su, but she has the combined temperament of both Knuckles and Julie-Su. We see Rotor make his way onto the floating island, meeting with SBO, and while Rotor has a public reason for coming to the floating island, he also has a more secretive mission as well. You also see the return of characters from the Dark Legion. See Dimitri there, who was formerly known as Enerjack. And you see that some of those members of the Dark Legion have also moved on and had children. Throughout this story, which runs for 14 chapters before its unceremonious cancellation, there are hints at a potential cataclysm. Rotor informs Knuckles of this impending danger, but there's no conclusion at the end of this story, unfortunately. You have some slice of life discussions between Princess Sally and Julie-Su there. You have interaction between Lara-Su and Sonic's children. But because the story is cut short, there is no conclusion. The artwork all throughout is beyond stellar. A good chunk of it is from Stephen Butler, who's the penciler. Kim Penders, again, is the writer for all of this. And you see, as the story moves forward, that even though Sonic and Knuckles are allies, they are still dealing with a sense of conflict between one another. There's not a full expansion, a full reveal of details surrounding that. You have Sonic struggling with having to maintain professionalism, since he is the crowned king, thanks to his marriage to Princess Sally. And the majority of this book is, as a matter of fact, this 25 years later story, before it heads into the Lara-Su Chronicles beginnings era. Or you could say 25 years later is the beginning, and the aftermath is setting up, I believe it's called Shattered Tomorrow. The last piece you get before the story ends is this here. You see Sonic and Knuckles going off to prevent whatever this cataclysm is, and Lara-Su starting to fade away. And that's when we eventually move into the new style that I've shown off in other videos. But I wanted to give a brief further description of Mobius 25 years later to entice you to take a shot on the new material, to understand what has come before so you can move down the path to what is next. I think this book is well constructed. I think it was only logical in order to have a better understanding of the Lara-Su Shattered Tomorrow's storyline that you needed to revisit Mobius 25 years later. Obviously, there are character changes, name changes, design changes, but now, having read this 3 times, I'm okay with the changes. I think they work because it is a brand new story, even though it continues from what has come before. And I think Kim Penders did his best to please the old fans while paying tribute to geek areas that he loves, such as Star Trek and another sci-fi franchise that happens to be my all-time favorite sci-fi franchise. I'll let him elaborate on that in a future volume, because I don't want to give that away. But the designs work for the change in story. They now work for me. I know they may cause some consternation, but it's not the same story. Due to the real-life events, things had to change, and change is not always a bad thing, so I'll gladly support the next volume of the Lara-Su Chronicles. That being said, if you like this content and would like to be able to see more, you might be watching this on my YouTube channel, DBZALLSTAR, which is also the name of my TikTok channel, DBZALLSTAR, or you can find it under #1 Animaniac, or Animaniac1 as well. I have a mature content YouTube channel, DBZALLSTAR After Dark, which will have additional content added sooner rather than later. I'm also on Blue Sky, Twitter, and Instagram as either Animaniac1 or #1 Animaniac. I am the affirmation administrator for the Omnibuds Cafè on Facebook. It is a community built through communication and collaboration without condemnation, whether you like manga, comics, collected editions of comics, things of the geek nature are welcome within that group. So, at the end of the day, thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, build your best tomorrow, be it tomorrow or 25 years later, and be well.